Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Harrisburg City Council Legislative Session. Today is Tuesday, March 26, 2019. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:10. And forgiven the lateness, we had an executive session today at 5 p.m. to discuss legal issues pertaining to the city of Harrisburg. Mr. Petrosky, please do the roll call.
Mr. Allett? Present. Ms. Bowers?
Present.
Ms. Daniels? Here. Ms. Green?
Present.
Mr. Madsen?
Here.
Mr. Majors?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Present. Thank you. Moving on to invocation, Mr. Madsen.
Yes. Good evening. We seek blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts with clear insights, our deliberation with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madsen. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Majors.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Majors. Moving on to communications, we have none this evening. Moving on to courtesy of the floor. Anyone to my right would like to come to the mic, please do so now. No one from the right? Okay. Anyone in the middle?
It's a little bit high there. Can this get moved down a little,
Yeah, okay, sure.
lower? Is it? All right. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Daniel D. Graham, 217 North 2nd Street, B in Harrisburg, PA. On this agenda, and I would have spoken about this anyway, Resolution 21, 2019, a resolution of the City of Harrisburg urging the Pennsylvania General Assembly to support Restore Pennsylvania, a $4.5 billion infrastructure improvement plan. Speaking of infrastructure, I am opposed to the PennDOT plan to widen the highways and add more roadway lanes on routes 81 and 83 in the city of Harrisburg and for widening streets and roads in other parts of Pennsylvania. That's wrong. No good. We have enough highways and enough roads. Our streets are wide enough. We don't need it. We don't need any more highways. No more new highways. No more widening. Again, no more widening of streets and roads. The streets and roads are wide enough. Widening the highways and roads, widening the highways and roads causes disruption to people and disruption to their properties, and this is wrong. Please reject the PennDOT plan for widening roads and widening highways. No good, no good. Again, please please reject the PennDOT plan for widening highways and widening other roads. Our highways and roads are wide enough, and our streets here in the city of Harrisburg, our streets are wide enough also. And we don't need any rearrangements of the streets. The street layout in Harrisburg is fine the way it is. And I do agree with plans to improve traffic safety and pedestrian safety on our streets, such as, among other things, they propose cameras to catch drivers who run through red lights after the light has turned red. This is dangerous. This has to be stopped. And also for drivers who do not yield right-of-way to pedestrians when pedestrians are crossing at crosswalks or at a traffic light. And also, as I've said before, the way that red lights and walk signs are set at 2nd and Chestnut and at Market Square, it's crazy. They give the motorists the green light at the same time the walk signs are on. No good, no good. Put the red lights, again, put the red lights on in all directions when the pedestrian walk signs are on. And no turns on a red light either. This is necessary to provide complete protection for pedestrians crossing the streets. Also, if we have traffic congestion on our streets and roads, this is just one more reason why more people need to ride buses and railroad trains. This is the solution to traffic problems and parking problems. And we need more buses on our streets and roads and more railroad and as I've said before, again, we need more railroad passenger trains running on our present rail lines, which are already in place. We have plenty of railroad tracks already in place that we can use to increase passenger train service here in the Harrisburg region and all over Pennsylvania. We need more long distance, medium distance, and long distance passenger trains on our present rail lines here in Pennsylvania and in other states. And we also need a regional commuter rail passenger train system serving the entire central Pennsylvania, Harrisburg region, with Harrisburg as the hub of passenger train service. The Harrisburg Amtrak station as the hub I start again. The present Amtrak passenger train, station as the hub for all intercity and commuter rail passenger train service. Some specific suggestions I have to start with.
Mr. Graham.
We need.
Mr. Graham, can you please wrap it up now?
Yes.
You went over time, because there's others that may want to come to the mic. So could you do it within the next minute?
Just one or two or three things more, and then I'm finished. Okay, to start with, we need more passenger trains running from Harrisburg to Pittsburgh, and passenger trains running from Harrisburg to York and Baltimore and Washington. This is the shortest route, the shortest rail route going from Harrisburg to Baltimore and Washington, D.C. And also to restore Also, to restore passenger train service on the former Reading Railroad line from Harrisburg to Reading and Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton, and then continuing on to Newark and New York City, Penn Station, on that former Lehigh Valley Railroad. And to restore long-distance passenger trains on the former Lehigh Valley Railroad going from New York City all the way to Buffalo, New York, and going via Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton, and Wilkes-Barre, and other places. And Philadelphia to Bethlehem through train service and many other rail routes we need for passenger train service restored.
Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Anyone else in the middle, please? Anyone to my left? Hearing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Approval of minutes, approval of the legislative session minutes of March 12, 2019. Council members, are there any omissions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, minutes will stand approved. Moving on to reports of committees. The agenda says report from Chair Williams, but it will be report from Chair Green on the work session of March 19, 2019. Ms. Green?
Thank you, President Williams. On March 19th, we had a presentation from Mr. Jerry Feeser, the Director of Dauphin County Bureau of Registration and Elections, on a proposed Harrisburg election districts. We were presented with proposed maps of the election and magisterial districts, which showed that the city would be broken into 5 wards with 5 precincts, lowering the polling places from the current 28 to 25. It's important to note that this will not affect the upcoming elections. This is something that's proposed and will not take place for some time, as it has an entire process to go through. We also had Resolution 12 of 2019, and we had a presentation from Ms. Sharon Banks, who wishes to serve on the Harrisburg Human Relations Commission. Sharon is a native of Harrisburg who's come back home and wishes to continue to improve her city by serving on the HHRC. And I would encourage all of my fellow council members to vote in support of Ms. Banks.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Moving on, report from Chair Daniels on the work session of March 19, 2019. Ms. Daniels, are you ready with your report?
Yes, thank you. On March 19th, Parks and Rec had 2 resolutions. The first one was Resolution 14, which is granting a $30,000 award to the Capital Area Greenbelt Association for the performance of maintenance on city-owned land in the Capital Area Greenbelt. Speaking on behalf of the city was Mr. David Parker, and speaking on behalf of Capital Area Greenbelt were Scott Shepler. And basically, this is $30,000 that the Greenbelt Association receives for maintaining properties that are owned by the city, but we're not able to currently maintain given our capacity issues. During the meeting, the amendment was suggested, which I will read. In addition to the initial resolution, language stating, whereas Capital Area Greenbelt Association shall abide by the City of Harrisburg's procurement policy and expenditure of funds awarded by the City of Harrisburg to the extent it does not interfere, void, or negate any existing contracts. So that language was added to the resolution. And this is very valuable work for the city, as the trees that are dying and are falling over are causing significant hardships to surrounding areas. So I would ask my colleagues to vote in the affirmative for that resolution, given the amendment that was incorporated. The second resolution we saw was Resolution 15-2019, which is again a contract with for professional services with Thomas J. McLean and Associates. Speaking on behalf of the city was Kevin Sanders, and on behalf and a representative for the McLean and Associates. This is a contract for consulting services for the development of a Chutes and Ladder playground project. There were 3 entities that bid on this project. The other 2 bid in the area of $70,000, whereas Thomas McLean, their bid came in at just under 50,000, which is what the city had previously allocated for that project. This plan is then utilized by the city and leveraged by the city to secure additional grants and additional funding so that we could eventually then execute a proposed plan. Obviously, that process will involve public input at both stages of plan development as well as once once it's finalized, additional comments. And I think that's it. I would ask my colleagues to vote in the affirmative for that resolution as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Moving on to ordinance first reading, we have none. Moving on to ordinance for amendment, we have none. And then we have ordinance for final passage, we have none as well. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution 12. Mr. Petrosky, please read that.
Resolution 12, as amended of 2019, was moved by Ms. Williams, seconded by Ms. Bowers. It's a resolution confirming the appointment of Ms. Sharon L. Banks to serve on the Harrisburg Human Relations Commission for a 3-year term.
And it was amended to change the term and correct the date. Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers?
Yes.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution 12 passes.
Resolution 14, please read into record.
Resolution 14, as amended of 2019, was moved by Ms. Daniels, seconded by Ms. Green. It's a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to award funding in an amount not to exceed $30,000 to the Capital Area Greenbelt Association for the performance of maintenance on city-owned land in the Capital Area Greenbelt.
Thank you as well. This was also amended, and Ms. Daniels read you the amendment. Is there any questions or comments, council members? Please call the vote.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers?
Yes.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution 14 passes.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution 15.
Resolution 15 of 2019 was moved by Ms. Daniels, seconded by Ms. Green. It's a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional service agreement with Thomas J. McLean and Associates Incorporated to develop the Chutes and Ladders Playground project in Reservoir Park.
Any questions or comments, council members? Please call the vote.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers?
Yes.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Resolution 15 passes.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution 20.
Resolution 20 of 2019 was moved by Ms. Williams, seconded by Ms. Bowers. It's a resolution appointing Ms. Monica Ross to serve on the Environmental Advisory Council.
This will be placed in administration committee. Moving on to resolution 21.
Resolution 21 of 2019 was moved by Mr. Allett, seconded by Ms. Bowers. It's a resolution of the City of Harrisburg urging the Pennsylvania General Assembly to support Restore Pennsylvania $4.5 billion infrastructure improvement plan.
That will be placed in budget and finance committee. Moving on to old business. Council members, are any old business?
President, can I raise one issue for you?
Sure. Thank you. Come up to the table.
Just, and I know you're aware of this, but just so the public is aware, the second meeting of the Intergovernmental Cooperation Authority was this afternoon at 4 o'clock. They're getting underway. They today adopted their meeting schedule for the remainder of the year. That's going to be public and put up on a website. And they've adopted a number of RFPs for professional positions, attorney, auditor, executive director. So those will all be going out under a short deadline because they have business to move forward with. We are under an obligation to have our 5-year plan approved with them so that it's done essentially by the end of May. So that's going to be something moving on. In relation to that, there's legislation that's been pending since last fall regarding the OPEB trust.
Okay.
We do need to bring that forward, have more public hearings on it, and move on it in order to get access to those funding that the Commonwealth has under Act 47. And we should not let that pass. So I would ask that council bring that ordinance back up, and we will arrange for the appropriate witnesses to come in and any amendments that have to be made so that we can move forward in setting up the trust. But an ordinance has to be passed to do so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions, council members? Okay. Thank you, Thank you. Mr. Rober. New business, council members. I already mentioned that. Yes. Ms. Daniels. I mean, Miss Green. I mean, Miss Bowers. Miss Bowers.
I knew you would get me.
Yes, I
eventually.
get you right.
So I just wanted to make the public aware of 2 upcoming meetings hosted by the Department of Building and Housing. The first will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, March 27th. The department will host their second community meeting to discuss the city's annual action plan for the 2019 fiscal year. Next Thursday, April 4th, the department will host the second public meeting to discuss the Lead Safe program. And at that meeting, please consider joining the City of Harrisburg to discuss the Lead Safe program. City representatives will be present to review the application process, eligibility requirements, and the steps that will follow once a client has successfully completed the application. The time will be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The location is the YMCA, located at 2135 North 6th Street. If you have any questions, please contact Susan Wilson at 717-255-6412. And again, that meeting is April 4th.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Bowers.
Thank you.
Mr. Mattson threw me off here a little bit. Any more new business? Mr. Majors.
Excuse me, yes. I just want to announce that on Saturday, April 13th, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. will be the Great Harrisburg Litter Cleanup. This is an opportunity to partner with a lot of the local organizations. It's ran by Tri-County Community Action to help clean up our public, our city streets, our alleyways, and public spaces. Last year, I had a pleasure of volunteering that day, and along with over 400 other volunteers, we removed 28 tons of trash off of our city streets. We want to ensure that we're keeping our streets clean and safe. So if the public has any places in their neighborhoods that they want to be a focal point of the cleanup, please reach out to Tri-County Community Action. The email address is www.cactricounty.org.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Anyone else for new business? I was looking for an email that one of our residents sent to announce a event in the city of Harrisburg. Wow, can't find it. But I'll announce it at the next session since it is an event that it's going to be in May. Moving on, council members, I have a question. Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
you mentioned that we're going to have a meeting on the 27th. What time is that meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. That meeting will be held at 5:30 in City Council chambers.
Okay. And then the April 4th meeting?
April 4th, that time is from 6 to 8 p.m., and that location is the YMCA,
North 6th Street?
North 6th Street location.
Okay. Just want to make sure that the public were aware where
Thank
the
you. Sorry,
events
I
were being
forgot
held.
to
That's
announce the
okay.
time.
That's okay. Hearing no other new business, I ask for motion to adjourn. Thank you. Meeting is officially adjourned.